Do we have a choice?
Good evening. Welcome to this Candidates Forum. Tonight we are going to have, in the first hour, candidates for the office of trustee of the Cupertino Union School District. And then we'll take a break, and in the second hour we will have candidates for the City Council of the City of Cupertino. Before we start the Candidates Forum, I have several announcements to make. First of all, I want to bring to your attention the City Channel Program Guide. And these are going to be available in the kiosk in the City Hall Library, so you can pick them up either on the table out in the lobby or in the kiosk in the lobby. Also there will be some publications of the League of Women Voters that you can pick up if you like. One is called Pick a Candidate, and another one is called Facts for Voters. This has all the representatives of people who represent us in this area with their addresses and phone numbers, and it tells you when certain offices are going to be up for re-election. It's a wonderful tool. Also out on the table is an announcement of a town meeting for Cupertino. Town meeting is going to be held on Wednesday, November 10th at the Quinlan Center. Hope you can all come to that. Let me run through the ground rules for the Candidates Forum tonight so that we all understand. The candidates have all agreed to these. The candidates are going to make an opening statement of 2 minutes. We have a timer here who will be timing them. Then we're going to take a 5-minute break. Chance in the audience to write out questions that you would like to have answered by the candidates. And if you would hold your questions up, there will be people walking along who will pick up your questions. They will screen the questions for duplication, and then they will pass them to me, and I will ask questions of the candidates. If you wish to address a question to a particular candidate, you may do that, and I will ask that candidate to answer the question first, but then the other candidates will also have the opportunity to answer that question. Candidates will be allowed 2 minutes to answer each question, and then we will close with a 1-minute closing. At the end of the hour, they will do that 1 minute. Then we're going to take a 10 or 15-minute break and switch candidates and have the City Council candidates come and present their statements to you. We'll go through the same thing all over again with the City Council candidates. Tonight's forum is sponsored by the City of Cupertino, the AAUW, the American Association of University Women, and the League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose candidates. Another thing I want to mention before we start, we will start in just a minute, is there is an online website where you can get information on candidates and measures, and that is called Smart Voter. And you can get to Smart Voter by typing in www.smartvoter.org. The extension is ORG. And there you'll find information on candidates, on these candidates and other candidates, and there's information also on Measure E. All right. I think we're ready to start. The candidates have drawn numbers to see which order they're going to speak to you, and we're going to start with Roberta Pabst.
I'm currently an incumbent. I've been on the school board of the Cupertino Union School District for 4 years. Before the school board, I was very active in the community, active in my schools. My children both grew up all the way through Cupertino School District, so I started volunteering in their classrooms when the first child had his first year of kindergarten. And now one of them is at UC Santa Barbara as a sophomore, and one of them is a senior at Homestead High School at college night tonight. One of the questions that you would probably want to know from an introduction is why would someone want to do this? It has been a very rewarding experience. I think it's one of those things that's just really worth doing. You feel as though you do make a difference for children. I feel as though being on the board, I make a difference for children. I also think that it's kind of what I do. Volunteering is what I do. Some people write books, some people paint pictures. I very much enjoy volunteering and very much enjoy public service, at least at this point in my life. I have a strong belief in public education. I think public education is the foundation of our country. We do have problems in our country. We may have problems in our various communities. But compared to other places in the world that are unstable and unhappy, we do have the best so far, and I think it's worth staying with. So we have to get used to looking at signs. So I'm going to enjoy your questions this evening, and hopefully you'll get to know us all, make an informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next candidate is Gary McCue.
Hi, I'm Gary McCue. I'm running to provide a new and well-reasoned voice on our school board, and also to provide direction, leadership, and enthusiasm for our schools. I have a degree in business administration with advanced coursework in computer science. I work as a technical writer, so I actually do write books. And I work for Netscape Communications. My wife, Louise Wong, and I have a fifth grader at Dilworth Elementary. And when my son was in kindergarten, I joined the school site council and became chairman. I also joined our parent-teacher organization and became president. And I've also served on many school district committees, including the Cupertino Local Improvement Panel, the Facilities Advisory Committee, Technology Task Force, and most recently I was an observer to the Budget Advisory Committee. I'm a firm believer in public education, and I always try to support the district. So I've been progressively involved in district issues, and Cupertino has very high educational standards, and the way we got here was because we were able to hire and keep the best teachers, and because we have a very active and involved parents and also a very supportive community. Now, I believe that we're in danger of losing this edge because it's harder to keep teachers, and in my view, we haven't been as receptive to community input as we used to be. So I'm hoping that we can get into this during the question and answer. I've got some ideas on what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. And our third candidate is Barry Chang.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming tonight from your busy schedule. Special thanks to the League of Women for organizing this event. After serving 4 years on the school board, I decided to run again because I want to continue the good work that I have done for our district. I have worked very hard and accomplished a lot over the past 4 years. It is my pleasure to report to you that our district is in a very sound physical condition, and our students are in a very safe and productive learning environment. We have completed more than 80% of our school renovation on time and within the budget. And we have successfully implemented class size reductions, and our students have achieved high test scores. As an experienced leader, I do what is the best for our students. And I also have listened to our communities. For example, when the middle school scheduling issue came up, I listened carefully to our teachers and our parents' concern. I was the only board member attending the parents' meeting regarding this issue on March 7 in Cupertino Library this year. And as you can imagine, with more than 200 concerned parents and only one school board member, I got my ear full of parents' concern that night. But I'm glad I went, because I've been able to help and resolve the issue and diffuse the crisis. And I also helped resolve the teacher contract negotiation impasse this year. As you know, we have an impasse. And I've been listening and resolve that issues, avert a potential teacher strike. I believe our community and the student can benefit more from my experience and my dedication. A vote for me is a vote for continuing our good education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the candidates. Now we will take the 5-minute break I mentioned, and if you have questions, please hold up your hand. If you need cards to write them on, we can pass those out to you also. We'll now ask questions of the candidates, and they have 2 minutes for the answer, and I will be calling on the candidates in a random order. Before we do this, I have two important announcements. I failed to mention that this forum is being sponsored also by the PTA. We thank the PTA for that. And the other thing is the coffee out front is decaf. So let's start with this question. California students rank near the bottom of the 50 states, in parentheses, number 49, in testing scores. Can you identify two issues you feel are the major cause? And I'd like to start the questions with Barry Chang.
The two causes, I believe, one is the funding, the other one is the teacher hiring and retaining, recruiting and retaining the quality teachers. That's the two major issues. Funding, as you know, Cupertino is the rank number 33 in the 33 school district in the county. We are number 985 in the total 988 school districts statewide. But our performance is on the top of the California state. So funding does have some relation with the performance, but not absolutely related to. So one of the priorities we have to work on is to get our funding, our revenue up this year. And so we can provide our teacher with competitive salary. As you know, the high living costs in this area here. So they can have a good salary, and then so they can stay here. That's one of the main issues. And then, of course, to the teacher, retaining and recruiting the teacher, besides the competitive salary, we need to provide the respect and their input, their consideration. Because, for example, last 2 years, especially last year, we have a lot of teachers left, not only because of salary, also because they don't feel they've been respected. So that's the issue we have to work on it too, on the communication with the teacher, and then getting their respect to what their input is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Roberta Pabst.
Thank you. There actually are more than two reasons, but I agree with Barry that the funding is one of the major ones. Not only is California near the bottom in test scores, California is also near the bottom in the amount of money per taxpayer that's spent for education of our children. So we are getting essentially what we're paying for. When the voters of California and the taxpayers of California want to put resources towards a good quality education, they will get a good quality education. I think the second thing is a good, consistent set of standards that will tell a child, so that a child in second grade in one school is going to learn the same things as a child in second grade in another school. We do have a fairly mobile population in the state of California. Children move from school to school. The other thing that happened without that very specific set of standards was that California did, to a large extent, drop phonics instruction in reading. And for those districts like ours that did not totally drop phonics, we have maintained good test scores that are very much not 49th if you compared them with the rest of the country. And the state did learn from that, but many districts had a lot of problems, and their kids fell well behind in learning to read. So I think those are two of the main reasons.
Okay, thank you. Gary McCue.
The main reason that test scores statewide are so poor is because education has not been a priority for the state until recently. The good news for our district is that it has been a priority for the people of our community. And so therefore, parents and the community itself has insisted on high standards. And the way we've gotten here, as I mentioned in my opening statement, is because we have good teachers. Now, will we be as high as we are now is the key question, and the answer has a lot to do with our ability to get enough funding. If we can get enough funding, keep teachers within commute distance of our schools, and generally make them know that they are valued then we should do quite well. If we don't have enough funding to keep teachers, we aren't going to do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We had an interesting source of questions this time. I've never seen it before, but someone wrote to the Cupertino Courier and said that he was not going to be able to be here tonight to submit his questions, so he was writing them in the Courier. So I have taken those questions. I'm going to ask one of them of these candidates. I'm going to ask the other, ask both of them of the city council candidates. But the one that I plan to ask these candidates is, this writer would like to know, do you plan to seek any other public office during the year 2000? And I'd like to start with Roberta Pabst.
I can give you a very short answer, so we get to lots and lots of questions, and the answer is no.
Okay. Mr. McCue.
No, I have no political ambitions beyond school board. Thank you.
Barry Chang.
No, not at this point.
Okay. That's that question. Now we have a question that's addressed to Mr. Chang, so I will let you answer first, and then the others can comment if they wish. Mr. Chang, you are one of the persons on the board who pushed the hardest for the Mandarin and English immersion class. You are also the one who told us during the public meetings last year that funding for the class would come from private sources. However, that didn't happen either, since the district approved the class and receives the money through regular channels, ignoring Proposition 227, which was overwhelmingly approved by the voters. Yesterday, Tuesday, October 12th, I was told by a staff member of the John Muir School that there are only 22 students in the kindergarten class and only 15 in the first grade. Average class enrollment should be 29, is it not? Wouldn't this mean that the district should drop these classes instead of wasting our tax money? If you want me to hit the highlights of this again, I'll be happy to do that.
Sure, why not?
Okay, I
Number
think
one, let me clarify the question in there. There's a mistake in there. The average class size is not 29 for K to 3. The average class size is 20, according to the state. Okay. In our average here in our school, some of the school has 13 in the kindergarten. I've been visiting a lot of school. That's one thing I work very hard every year. I at least to visit one school, every school once every year. So I can see, I have seen some school has 13, some school has 16. So this is the 22 and the 15 is not unusual in our district. Okay. Regarding the emerging program, there's also another myth. As you know, this is a democratic country. The school board decision is done by the majority. One Barry Chang cannot do everything. And then at the time was very unfortunate. The rumor was out, for example, Barry Chang himself forced all Cupertino students speak Mandarin only, which is very wrong in our society, in our community. And it was totally not reasonable at all, because this is the second years now. If you have kids in the school, you know they're not speaking Mandarin in the classroom. Only a small class volunteer basis by the parents. This is a good tradition we have in Cupertino. Cupertino have all this good tradition with volunteer program for the alternative. And this is the parents want this program. And in person, doesn't matter it's Mandarin immersion, as I said before, or Spanish immersion or French immersion, because immersion program itself is a very good program. I'm not only reading all through the material, I also visit the school that has the immersion program, and I learned that's really a good program. And as a school board member, I do whatever the best for our students. And this is the best sound educational program. So I will, if there's any other group of parents come up say they want French immersion, I will push for it because that's my job. Thank you.
Thank you. Roberta Pabst, would you like to comment on this?
I would say two things. We did vote to give the Mandarin program a chance, and we were concerned about Proposition 227. There is a provision of Proposition 227 to allow the parents to ask that their children be in a dual immersion program, and these parents and teachers and students are obeying the letter of the law at this point. And I do believe that if there is not enough enrollment, that we will continue to evaluate the program on a yearly basis, and if there's not enough enrollment, that it will not continue. At this point, we do have some other kindergartners around the state that are also in small classes, because if you have any kindergartners with your first graders in a combination class, then the class still has to be only 20. So it's not a completely unusual situation to have fairly small kindergarten classes. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCue.
First of all, I think you can tell what an emotional issue the Mandarin immersion program is, and we've got to get away from the emotional aspects of this. I've already answered several emails about Mandarin immersion. I like the concept of immersion programs, and Mandarin seems to be as good a choice as any, but I don't expect to get any votes for that opinion, and I also don't expect to get any votes for the opinion that it has to pay for itself, because the cost, the budgeted cost is like $120,000. The actual costs are actually unknown. If the enrollment is full, then presumably the cost is zero, but the school district really needs to state what the cost is, and the board next year will have to make a decision as to whether it continues. And I've at least have a consistent opinion, but one that probably won't get me any votes. Thank you.
Thank you. We have several questions about middle school, so I'm going to try to combine a couple of these. Let me run through this. Okay, let me just read them separately. How soon do you think we would be moving to mandatory middle school? Before or after a fifth middle school is built? The other questioner asked, is there going to be a fifth middle school? If so, what is your vision on it? How will it affect boundary changes? So would you address the question of middle schools? Will there be a fifth middle school, and will it become mandatory, and what's your vision? And we will start this one with Gary McCue.
First of all, will we have mandatory middle school? I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that we can provide a choice, because there are certain cases, good cases, where a child might want or need to stay at an elementary school for one more year. I think the thing that we really need to focus on is identifying what the program would look like at both an elementary school and at a middle school. We have a clearer idea of what it looks like at a middle school, but the continuation of elementary school just seems like a continuation of an elementary school as opposed to any clearly defined program. So I think if we could identify actual programs, then we could provide actual choices. Will we have a fifth middle school? The answer, I think, is yes, if there's enough money from the state. Now, we are looking at money under SB 50, which is the large bond issue that passed, and originally we thought there would be enough money to modernize a elementary school as a middle school. That is in doubt right now. We'll know more on December 8th at the latest, is what I'm told. We do have to make some decisions soon about how we are going to go to middle school and or stay at elementary schools, and the fact that we have an uncertain, financial viability is a problem right now. But I'm certainly hoping that we can make some decisions very soon after December 8th. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Roberta Pabst. Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. I'm not sure I caught all the pieces of the question, but I'll do the best I can. How soon would we would middle school be mandatory? And I do think that's still an unknown quantity. Whether it would ever be mandatory, or how soon that would be if it is mandatory. We still have a lot of questions. We have the demographers are looking at our community right now, and they have loading factors for construction and new construction and renovations and where those things are, and they're putting all of this into a very extensive projection for our community, and that will help us to see what best guess, what their best information is about where our students will be over time, and that will give us a lot more information. So we'll be making a lot of our decisions based upon looking at where our students are. The other thing is we have had middle school committees over the years. We rejected middle school. We embraced the concept of middle school many years ago, 8 or 9 or 10 years ago, but then we're not able to implement it because there simply was not enough money to have all of the 6th graders on the middle school campuses and still have them at a size that we would really consider to be a comfortable size for middle schools. So then committees have come together since then and have reaffirmed and relooked at middle schools and have still felt that the middle school concepts are excellent for students of this age. So well done. We may eventually end up with mandatory middle schools. Right now, we just don't know enough, and we really don't know enough to put a timeline on it. But I agree that choice in our district has been we've embraced choice. We have a lot of choices in our district. And I agree that it's nice to have that option.
Thank you. Barry Chang?
I will answer the second question first. Will we have the 5th middle school? The answer is if we can get the money from the state, as Gary McCue already mentioned, SB 50, that's about $28 million. If we can get that money, definitely I will go for the 5th middle school, because if you know our current 4 middle school are very crowded now. There's like Kennedy has over 1,000 students right now. It's overcrowdedness in there. So if we can get the money, we don't go ahead with the 5th middle school, then I think that's not right. Okay, so if we can get the money, yes, we'll go for the middle school, the 5th middle school. Would it be mandatory? I don't think so. What I have in mind is to open it up to the community, get the community input first about what the 5th middle school will be and how we are going to implement it. The problem with last year on the middle school issue is because the administration doesn't open their ear, their mind to the community. As you know, this community has a lot of talents. A lot of parents are very talented group here. They have a lot of great idea, and then they want to help the district. And that's how we have this good performance over the past many years, because with the funding situation, that's how we get to this situation. So definitely we have to have the opening process to get the community input, and this could be an issue down the road if we don't handle it properly. So what you need is you really need a leader like me. I can handle it before, proven, done it. Like last March 9th meeting, we had like over 500 concerned parents. Some of them were very angry, and I happened to be the board of president. I have to conduct a meeting and then resolve the issue and diffuse the crisis. So I do have that ability to handle the crisis. And then if that come up, I'm pretty sure I can handle it. Thank you.
Thank you. This one is addressed to Roberta Pabst. How would you address issues important to the community and parents, such as the scheduling issue, so that the community feels that their concerns have been heard and taken into account before a decision is made?
An easy one, huh? When the scheduling issue came up when it came up, there had been many tries over the years to equalize the minutes in the middle schools, and the process did not go well. And to be perfectly honest, I think we were blindsided by that. We honestly didn't know the deep felt concerns that parents had, and it does come from not having had enough contact with the community, enough input, and we do need to continue to improve that. It is one of the goals for our district for this year, to improve communication, to continue to have input, and I think to reach as deeply into the community as we can to find the people to help us, because it takes an incredible time commitment for people to serve on these committees. And you do tend to get the people who are kind of the most interested, and we see kind of the same people again and again and so we don't always get as far into the community and as much outreach as we really need. So we need to always be aware, we meet someone and say they're interested in this, we need to keep their name in mind and make sure that we reach out into the community. Some of the problem comes from the fact that our school district is covered by 6 different cable channels, 6 different community newspapers. That sort of thing does make it more difficult. So we kind of rely on our parents only, which is not quite enough to get the word out to all of the constituencies that are involved. So I think we continue to work on communication and all of the avenues, and we certainly appreciate any ideas, any feedback, any help that you can give us.
Barry Chang, do you want to comment on this?
Sure. I think the great thing in this community is the parents or the teacher won't hesitate to tell you if they don't agree with you. They will let you know right away. On the scheduling issue, be honest with you, 2 years beforehand, before this year's, I already knew it because the teacher already had a concern. They already called. They already wrote it to the board member. I read through them, and I went to high junior high and also middle junior high. Sit down with the teacher, listen to their concern. Then I come back to the administrator to tell them this is the situation in the school. Please get resolved. Listen to what they have, work it out, the resolution. But unfortunately, this did not happen, and then end up to be when the parents start getting the information, then the bubble become more boiling. The situation is being more intense. But when the parents group invited all the school board members on March 7 to their meeting in Cupertino Library this year, I was the only board member who went. And I know if I went, I will get my earful. Not only that, I may get chewed out. But I figured out it's as a school board member, it's my duty, it's my obligation to listen to what the community has to say. And the worst is they just beating me up. So I went. And then, of course, at the beginning, they were, but then I have a way to calm them down. I say, well, if you really want to get your point across, you better present it in a nice, reasonable, logical way to the board. And then they did a very nice job on March 9th, even when we have an even much bigger crowd with 500 angry parents. So we've been able to resolve that issue, find a 5th solution, instead of the 4 solution the district offer. Everybody happy, and then the crisis is over. So I think the most important has to listen to the community, get them involved, be open-minded. Then I don't think there will be any major issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCue?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. How would you address issues important to the community and parents, such as scheduling issues, so that the community feels that their concerns have been heard and taken into account before a decision is made?
Okay, the first step is to really give the community a heads up well in advance. Because if you don't give any time for things to settle in, all you're going to get is a reaction, and scheduling was a fairly explosive reaction because it was a very important issue. People did not want to lose instructional minutes. So we need to make sure that the community is well informed, and then we need to provide a way for them to give us input. And certainly calling a board member, or in my case, hopefully emailing a board member, would be one way of doing that. And if there is an issue that seems to be generating a lot of discussion, then it would be my job as a board member to take it to the superintendent. Now, if the superintendent rejects that, then obviously the board can put it on the agenda themselves, and that's essentially what happened for the scheduling issue. But what we want to do is avoid brinksmanship, because if we go to the brink too many times, we lose the credibility that the district has really worked hard to gain over the years. Thanks.
Thank you. There have been several questions about revenue, and this is the simplest one. How would you increase the revenue for the school district? And we'll start with Gary McCue.
Okay, most revenue comes from the state, so we have to work on the state to get revenue. There are several approaches, but the approach I like the best is to work with our corporate partners to lobby the governor's office to get more money for cost of living, because that's the major issue, I think, for our district right now is in order to keep teachers, we need recognition that the cost of living here is much higher than elsewhere. And right now, the governor wants to put money into underperforming districts, and we're not an underperforming district, and so we need a change of priorities. Unfortunately, I don't think the legislature and our legislators specifically are going to be able to do it on their own. So there is going to be an informational meeting that I think one of the other candidates will discuss. But the key is to get enough leverage, and to me, the leverage would come from our corporate partners who can explain why Silicon Valley got to where it is today and why it's an economic powerhouse and why it's in the best interest of California to make sure that our kids get the same level of funding as other kids. Thanks.
Barry Chang?
This is an easy question. I think the problem is our state screw up the priority. We spend more money building prison than we spend more money building school. In my opinion, that's wrong. That's totally wrong. Because the statistics show 82% of the high school dropout end up in jail. And if we don't take care of our front end of education, of course we are busy taking care of our rear end building jail. So the state has to change their priority. Put more money in education. Everybody talking about education, even governor. Everybody talk. Governor say his 3 priority: education, education, education. But put the money into where the mouth is. Give the education money. This is what we need to tell our legislator and also our governor. I mean, wake up. Don't goof up the schedule, the priority. The most important is if we switch that, we have a lot of money into the education, then we'll take care of it. Because those dropout is our neighbors' kids, and then they end up in jail. And then also create a crime for our community, which is not good. So the best way to do is change the priority. And if we cannot do that, then we need to ask our state to give us the equal money that every state average that they give it to the public school district, because we are, as I mentioned earlier, 985 out of 988 school districts. At least give us the fair amount of money for Cupertino. And then if we get the fair amount of money, we'll have a little bit better, more program, more extra curriculum for our students. So that to me, that we have to work on our legislator and then work hard on that end. Thanks.
Ms. Pabst?
Thank you. I don't agree with my esteemed colleague. I do not think this is an easy question. I think this is a very complex and difficult question. One of the things that is happening at the state level is that the legislature has passed a bill to establish a master plan for education, for K-12 education, and also feeding into higher education. And there is a committee, 18 people, 9 assembly persons and 9 senators who will be who are coming together around the issue of K-12 education. Now, a sensible part of that K-12 master plan should be funding, and we are lobbying those 18 legislators as well as our other legislators to make sure that they understand that we think sensible funding for education also means equitable funding for districts. And so that is one of the things. Now, we are not holding out as a district a lot of hope that it's going to become sensible in the state of California with our legislators, but that is a possibility. And if we as a community, one of the reasons that we have come together, we're bringing the Cupertino Coalition kind of back together again. If you'd like more information, we have there are flyers out on the table. This will be my advertisement about the Cupertino School Funding Forum. We have asked some of our legislators to come and talk to us and to listen to our concerns about the fact that funding is inequitable in our district. If that does not work, and it will not work quickly for sure, but if it does not work, at least we will have a well-educated population in the area, because I think there are many of us, because our schools are we're happy with our schools, we love our schools. We're not aware of all of the things that we're really doing without, because our funding is so low, because our children are still doing very well. for all of the reasons that we've been talking about. So first of all, we kind of have to believe it's really a problem, and so that's part of what we hope to do with this, and let our legislators know that we know where we are and what we should be, how we should be funded.
Thank you. This writer is concerned about the cost of housing and the fact that it's hard for new teachers to afford to live here. Have you considered buying or building new teacher housing to rent at an affordable rate? And we'll start with Barry Chang.
This question came up about the housing. One of the proposal discussion was about this issue, but we don't have the funding to do it. So the other way we can do is working with the city. City does have providing a certain percentage of the low funding, not low income housing, but they charge the rent lower than the average with certain percentage. And the administration is working on it now. And also another solution is just in case if the teacher cannot live in the area, we have what the so-called Allen Bell that will increase the number, which we did this year. The board passed to increase the number to allow teachers who do not live in the school district can send their kids to our school district. And also we have passed the board passed the policy to cooperate with the high school. So the high school teacher, they have a kid they want to send to Cupertino, they can. And then our teacher, if they want to send their kids, they don't live in the district, they can send their kids to the high school district. So we do have that program. And also we're looking into a lot of our new teachers in the younger age, and then a lot of them just get married, starting to have kids. So we are considering to offer some kind of daycare for the new teacher, the younger teacher have kids on site. So hopefully we can help them so they don't leave our district when they have kids. So that's a couple option solution we're working on it. As I say before, the winners always looking for the solution, only loser looking for the problem. So my attitude is if we have a problem, we will find a solution for it. Thank you.
Gary McCue?
The question, I think, was whether we want to buy or build housing, and I don't think we've looked into it specifically. I think there were some ideas, maybe tear down the district office and build housing. I don't think they've gotten anywhere yet.
Go for it.
And I'm not sure the school district wants to become a landlord. I'm not sure we know how to do that. But if we could find someone that would want to be a landlord for our teachers, I'm certainly we would like to look into it. What seems to be most feasible to me is down payment assistance, and the goal needs to be to keep teachers within commuting distance. And so that means that the program probably needs to be county-wide. San Jose has a program, but it's just for San Jose residents who teach in San Jose schools. So, and it's got some other problems, and specific problems. It is a low-income program. So we need a program that really benefits teachers, particularly married teachers with a working spouse. So that's the answer for the housing. I could go on to other things, but Barry's kind of taken my line on other issues.
I can add on one sentence.
Oh,
If
I'm
tear
sorry.
down-
Wait a minute. You've had your time. Sorry. Roberta Pabst.
Thank you. Buying or renting at an affordable rate for our teachers, which is a serious issue and a huge issue for us in our district. We do have the problem that many of our teachers either, and not only teachers, all of our employees many of them have to live outside of our district. Many of them do have to commute. Many of them do have the child problems and all of that with not wanting to work so far away from where their young child is in school or in daycare. We have been doing, we've had lots and lots of conversations. Our superintendent has been working with the Silicon Valley Manufacturing Group and with other consortiums of school districts around these issues. They are coming up with ideas. The ideas are, I don't want to say they're small ideas. They have they have potential, but none of them have really gone anywhere yet. But I think the more we talk about it, the more we raise the consciousness, especially with our corporations. It's in the corporation's best interest for us to have the very best staff and have them living within this community. Some ideas have, Dr. Bragg has spoken with a couple of our corporations about the possibility of down payment assistance for someone that they bring into the community if the spouse happens to be a teacher. So that we can have some incentives to help some of that. Now those are one at a time kinds of things, but if we have lists of options of things that can help some of our employees, we can make progress. So the answer is yes, we are working on it. We do want to continue to work with our cities, work with our county, work with the manufacturing groups and other. Everyone who has ideas, everyone who can help us with this. And there are other people who have this problem as well. Firefighters, police officers, the sheriffs, all of those people. It would be very nice if all of them could live within this community. And so we're working.
Thank you.
Slowly.
Next question. How do you face changes and challenges of increasingly diverse student population? What are the most pressing issues, and what are your suggestions? And we'll start this one with Gary McCue.
Well, I think the most pressing issue is there seems to be some underlying tension amongst adults in the community. And we need to, I think, talk about it. Because if we don't talk about it, we're going to always have these kinds of tensions. In terms of the children, I think the children are just fine, at the elementary level. And, as they start to grow older, they really start to take on the characteristics of adults. And so if their role models, their parents, are having problems in terms of dealing with diversity, which we have and cannot ignore, then we're going to have problems as a community. So my first suggestion is we need to start talking about this issue in a serious way.
Barry Chang?
I have been, as I said earlier, I work very hard. I visit a lot of school. Like today I went to Collins School in Stockholm Mile. And then one of the teacher, an ELD teacher, told me, also special ed teacher, the problem they have is they have a hard time trying to assess the ELD student when they are in the special ed or not, because we don't have the teacher who can speak their language. Understandable that we have 61 languages, roughly, either 58 or 61 languages spoken in our district. And some of the ELD students spoke different language, and when they start learning English, the teacher doesn't know because they're slow or because they have a special ed needs. And because we have no teacher can access that, it become a problem. So if we are talking about education for all students, this is an area we have to work on it. And that's because of the diverse student population and because of the diverse working force in our valley here. And this is the situation. And this is one of the pressing issues we really need to work on it, to incorporate more. And then, of course, when I visit school, I see the kid doesn't have any problem because I saw the ELD student commingling with the regular student during the recess. They are fun, they're laughing, they're playing together. But on the adult side, I do see some problem here. Sometime on the newspaper, local newspaper, you see people with an extreme view and then very unfortunate situation. So I agree with Gary. This is an issue. It's a serious issue. It's adults really need to deal with more than the children. Thank you.
Ms. Pabst?
Thank you. One of the pressing issues, as Mr. Chang pointed out, is assistance for children in their native language as they're learning English. We do have a wonderful language learning program. Proposition 227 did not throw us for a loop at all because we were already doing what Proposition 227 wanted us to do. We do prefer to have our children for another couple of months beyond the year that Prop 227 stipulated, because that is what we have found. Our children become very much English literate after a year, typically. For our kindergartners, we put them in kindergarten, in a regular kindergarten with some aid support. And they tend, most of the time, to be able to stay in their home school after kindergarten and go on to regular first grade, but they are tested to see if potentially they might benefit from a little bit of time in the language learning centers as well. One of the things that I think this district has done very well and should continue to do is there's a cross-language certificate called CLAD, and I actually don't know what all of the letters stand for, but what it means is that the teacher has special training in teaching a child who mostly understands a language different than the teacher's language, but the teacher has some skills for some learned skills that they can use for working with those children. Now, many of our teachers have that. Some of our teachers do not, and the district is very aggressive in helping our teachers all have that training. So that does help, because children do often come into classrooms, even after they've been in our language centers, come into our classrooms with still not a complete understanding of every single word we might speak to them. I think we have. I mean, there are so many possibilities in this area, but we need to continue to work with our cities. We need to continue to work with our community groups that have issues around this, and the district needs to continue to be sensitive to the fact that many of our families have come from many places in the world.
Thank you. This is going to be the last question before you have your closing statements, so this will still be the 2-minute answer. Literacy is a great concern for parents. How do you plan to move the literacy programs forward? And we'll start this one with Barry Chang.
Literacy, I think one of the important from K to 3, the parents need to help reading to the kids. If you keep reading to your kids, the kid will learn much faster. So read and read and read. And when I go to this, when I went to the school, I saw the program. The teacher was working on it. They have all kind of different creative programs to help kids reading. And then when we have a kid is slow, and then kind of interfere with the whole group, we have what we call special intervention program to pull that kids out on the one-on-one. And then, so before 3rd grade is very important, because before 3rd grade is what they call learn to read, and after 3rd grade is read to learn. If they cannot make that transition, they will have hard time to learn to read. And if they have a hard time, of course, then they will have hard time in the middle school, they will have a hard time in the high school, and then if they cannot complete the high school, and as I said earlier, 82% of them of the dropout end up in jail. So reading is very important, and make it fun. And that's why when I visit school, sometimes the teacher will ask me to read to the kids. One time I went to Nimitz, read Dr. Seuss' book, as you know Dr. Seuss. So I read it to the kids. They're all kind of interesting. So not only from the teacher, the parents, the school board member, the community member, and our school district is so fabulous, because we have the adult, the retired community member come to volunteer in the school, helping reading to the kids, and so those programs are very good.
Thank you. Ms. Pabst?
We have in our district had a literacy specialist program. We've had, I believe, 4 or 5 special literacy teachers that have had wonderful activities that they have gone and helped our teachers with, especially our very newest teachers that may not have had as many experiences teaching children reading as possible. So one of the things we would like to continue that program. Right now we have funding for not the entire program. Again, we have come back to our funding difficulties. We are working on grants to continue to fund literacy specialist teachers, making sure that our newest teachers, especially the ones straight out of college who have had less experience, get intense support specifically in literacy. We do that before school starts. They come for a week. They learn the kind of Cupertino way of making sure that our children learn as much as they can. But we need much more of that. Teacher training days have been cut way back, as you know, at the state level. And again, it's money. It is not will. And Barry's right. If we know there's a problem and we want to fix it, we should find a way. And we are finding ways, but we really are going to have more funding in order to have a lot more literacy training.
Thank you. Mr. McCue?
Well, in my mind, from the Cupertino Local Improvement Panel till now, literacy has been the key focus for our district. And so if we aren't doing enough for literacy, I think we're in trouble. Learn to read by grade 3 is critical, and basically class size reduction is kind of the main thing that helps us in that area, so we have smaller class sizes. I think what we really need to do is focus on the children that are really having trouble, because we, if we use the shotgun, we're going to get everyone some literacy, but we need to, really focus in on those kids that are having trouble and get them to learn to read by grade 3. Thanks.
Okay, now it's time for your closing statements. This is 1 minute, and we're going to go in the reverse order as to the opening statements. So we'll start with Barry Chang.
Again, thank you very much for coming tonight. When reelected, I will continue to keep our schools safe, number 1. Number 2, I will work on to increase our district revenue so we can provide competitive salary for our teachers. And I will continue to listen and respect the input from our community. And I also believe that we should provide programs that combine technology and curriculum, because we're in the technology center. And then with my commitment, with my experience and dedication, I believe that I'm one of the best qualified candidates. I listen, I care, and I'm committed to excellence. Together, we can lead our district to the next millennium by providing our children, our students, more opportunities and a brighter future. But I need your help on November 2nd. Tell your friend to vote for me. My name is Barry Chang. I'm the first one on the ballot, so you won't miss it. Thank you.
Gary McCue.
First of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the PTA and the AAUW and the City of Cupertino for organizing this forum. These forums are basically the only way that you can become informed on the issues. And I especially want to thank the audience, both here and at home, for being interested enough to care about these issues, because it's the only way, really, to strengthen our schools. So I'm going to be a board member that does his homework and a board member that listens to the community. And I will provide a new voice on the school board, a voice that recognizes that trust depends upon open communication, a voice that looks beyond ease of administration as the primary factor in school decisions, a voice that thinks outside the box, and a voice that seeks collaboration in resolving issues. I would really like to work for you, and I would ask for your vote on November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. And Roberta Pabst.
Thank you. I would also like to thank the League and my very own local chapter of AAUW and the Cupertino Fremont Council of PTAs and the City of Cupertino for co-sponsoring this event. This is a great idea to do it in this arena. I would just like to let you know that I really believe that all of our children are wonderful, unique, special individuals, that education's job is to help them become even more wonderful and special and unique, and at the same time give them the tools, so the unique and the tools that they need, so that they can become productive citizens in our society, and so that they can find their very own best place in the world. And I would like to continue doing that. I would like to continue working with our community on funding issues for our schools. I have been very active at the state level with the School Boards Association. I would like to be able to continue to do that. And thank you for coming this evening.
Let's thank all the candidates tonight. And now we're going to take a 5-minute break to transition from school board to city council. We will have the candidates switch places. I'm going to invite the candidates to stay through the next forum so that you can talk to them after the meeting is over.